Hey y'all, today I am doing my review on Saving Ruby King by Catherine Adele West. Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to another Books with Kimberly book review. Today I am discussing Catherine Adele West, her debut book, which is called Saving Ruby King. This book was very interesting. I'll start off by saying I did kind of debate whether I was going to give this book a 3 or a 4. I was kind of at 3.5, but I gave it a 4, and definitely what helped me give it a 4 was I attended a Zoom book club meeting where she was in attendance, and she really spoke about this book, and just to see how proud she was of her first debut novel and how well it's been doing, it inspired me as somebody who wants to write and publish books one day. Just to hear her talking about her work, like every question we had, she was like giving us backstory on the chapters and how she came up with this character. Shout out to Book Girl Magic for putting that on. I definitely enjoyed it, and I definitely enjoyed hearing Catherine talk about her writing process and how excited she is to be a published author in her next book, which is coming out. But now I'm going to get into this book, Saving Ruby King. So the book opens up with Alice King. We find out that she has been murdered. She got shot. I don't know how it happened. It's very vague on how it happened. We're trying to figure out what happened. We also find out in the opening of this book that Alice King is being abused by her husband Lebanon. And she talks about how she has to hide her bruises. She's such a devout Christian, and she goes to church every week. She's hoping that the church people don't see the bruises and see what she goes through in her home life. And so this book kind of has you thinking, like, did Lebanon kill his wife? I mean, he's been abusing her. We find out everybody really knows that she's been getting abused, so of course your mind is going, her husband did it. Even the cops are looking at the husband. So beside us trying to figure out how did Ruby's mom pass away, Ruby herself is very much in a fog. She's of course she would be, this is her mother, but she's very much in a fog. You can feel the hatred that she has of being left with her father, wishing it was her father who had passed instead of her mother. Like, why did this happen to her mother and not her dad, who has abused not only Alice but has abused Ruby as well? When Ruby would try to step in and protect her mother, she would be swung away. And so Ruby has this hatred towards her father, and she's trying to deal with that, as well as now her mother is dead, and what is she to do? And so this book is told in, I think, 5 perspectives. We have some portions of the book told by Lebanon King, some Ruby King, some Layla, who is the best friend of Ruby, and Layla's father, Reverend Jackson, who he is a good friend of Lebanon, as well as the father of Layla. In this book, what theme really stuck out to me was family secrets. This book is all about family secrets and how people hold on so dear to those secrets that they affect their personal lives. So you're holding on to a secret because you don't want people to find out about this, but because you're holding on to that secret, you're affecting others, because what you're giving out is negative energy. What you're closed off. You and your daughter don't have the best relationship because she doesn't understand your friendship with this person, but you're friends with this person because this person has a secret on you from when y'all were kids. And Lebanon, a big deal of why Lebanon was so abusive is because he grew up in an abusive home. His mother was very abusive to him, and his mother had secrets of her own. There are reasons why she was so cold and hard towards her son, and she made a decision to not love him. The hatred she shows towards him is what drove him to be who he is today in this book, which is an abusive husband and father. So it was very interesting how all these characters of the book were connected, and how their secrets were connected, and how these secrets were affecting their day-to-day lives and the relationships they had with their family. I will say that one of the things I did not like about this book, well, not didn't like about this, it's not that I didn't like this book, is that I wanted more, because the book is called Saving Ruby King. So I wanted the book to be more focused on Ruby. I felt like she was kind of like a zombie throughout the book, and I just wanted more from her. I wanted to know, why do you need saving? Why can't you save yourself? You know, why did you stay in this home with your mom and dad? Like, what was your role in all of this? And in the Zoom meeting with Catherine, she actually said that Ruby, she started to not even put the perspective of Ruby in the book. And so that really helped me understand that Ruby is just kind of like a character that was thrown in the book at the last minute, and that's probably why I didn't get all the answers and really get to connect with the character as much as I wanted to. But just her name being in the title of the book made me curious about her, you know, on a whole nother level. Like, I wanted to know more about Ruby King, and I felt like that was lacking. But I understand that she wanted to kind of focus the book on the other characters, which I really too much didn't care for. One thing I loved about this book was that one of the perspectives was from the perspective of the church, the point of view of the church. So it would be what was going on in the mind of the church, this building where Pastor Jackson was the pastor. And so this church went through the story of Lebanon's mom, Jackson's mom, as well as Alice's mom, and how they were three best friends and what they got into at this church, and also the secrets that they held. And it was being told from the perspective of the church. And as somebody who is a church girl, I really liked hearing that perspective of, you know, just this thought. I spend a lot of time at the church, and so I can just imagine what the church could say about me, because my home church, I actually, you know, have been at the same church my entire life. My mom grew up in this church. I grew up in this church. So if you always hear, if the walls could talk, what would they say? If my church could talk, like, what did my church get to see? It got, you know, and my church has a history of, it started off at a brickyard, and my grandma was at that church. So it's like, if my church could talk back to me, what would it tell me about my grandma? What would it tell me about my mom and my aunts growing up, and all the church people who have grown to be family of mine? All of their stories, like, what would the building, the brick and mortar building, what would it have to say about all of its members? So I thought that that was very interesting, and I almost wish that that perspective could have been the entire book. But of course, it's limited to just the church. It wouldn't have even caught the murder of Alice King because it was at her home. So I do understand why it needed other perspectives, but I wish it could have just honed in on Ruby, Lebanon, and the church. I really felt like I didn't need to know what Jackson was going through, what Layla was going through. I mean, it had a little relevance to the story, but I was more interested in the King family and the church, and, you know, the history of the three women who are, you know, the grandmothers and mothers of the main characters of this book. This is a really good book. I think it's important that we support Black authors, especially new Black authors. You know, we go towards the Terry McMillans and the authors who have the awards already and who are already popular, but I think it's very important that we also support the new emerging Black authors, because hopefully I will be there one day and I will want people supporting me as well. So Saving Ruby King by Catherine Adele West was a really good book, and I do recommend that all of you get into it. So you guys, get down in those comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, and share my video. And thank you for tuning in to another Books with Kimberly video.